time out of your professional day. So we'll start with a beginning presentation by the police department, and I would like to have them introduce themselves, please.
Hi, Dennis Woodtown, your Chief of Police. Lieutenant Brandon Eason. John Stoll.
And they will be followed by our superintendent of schools. Oh, Charlie, what role are you?
Hi, I'm Charlie Noyce. I'm chairman of the Police Facility Building Committee for the town board.
And I did know that, Charlie. As our superintendent of schools.
Steve Marsh, Superintendent for Bourne Public Schools.
And our chairperson of the finance committee.
Hi, Mary Jane Mastrangelo. I'm actually chair of the finance and the capital outlay committee.
Wow, you have no free time, do you?
No, I don't.
And she doesn't get paid for it. It's fantastic.
Best value.
And members of the audience, would you just tell us who you are, please? Starting with Nancy.
Nancy Persino.
Oh, Becca Britt.
Ed Ransom.
Bill Johnson.
Kim Wallerstock.
Carol Lynch, and I'm actually a member of the Capital Outlay Committee, but I'm fairly new, so I just want to talk to the really grassroots explanations.
Marjorie McClung.
Carolyn McDonald.
Joan Small. And I admit to being Lorraine Young. So, could I ask the police to give us a brief presentation on the need for a new police station? Who would like to speak?
All right. One of the things, the current police station, your current police station, originally built in 1959 for a small department. In the 70s, it was added on to, put a second floor on there, basically to accommodate the administrative function, get them out of the first floor, so the patrol operations, which is the most important part of your police department, has plenty of room to operate. After that, there was an addition in the late 70s put on a large, at the time it was called a drunk tank. It was during a time in our history in town where we had a large number of wild parties, and you needed a place to lock up 30 or 40 people at a time and put them in a room and hold them up before they could be taken out one at a time. And that was built, and then there was a small storage addition put onto the garage portion of the police station, primarily for storage as well as to accommodate the emergency generators for the police department. Over the course of the years, the department has grown in personnel. It has also grown in its calls for service. All of the rooms that originally started out, their original functions have been repurposed once, twice, 3 times. Some of the rooms serve 3 different functions within the community to meet the needs of the department, and they've just run out of room. The Police Facility Building Committee, we hired a firm to evaluate the current conditions of the police department and document those and make a recommendation to the committee as well as to the town as to the need for a police station. Some of the problems within the current police station is an outdated electrical system. It has been added on to, patched to several times during the course of the department's history. There are wires pretty much running everywhere in that police building. As time goes on, more technology has been added to the police operations, and so all of these things, a lot of times you can get the equipment, but you don't get the money to install it. So a lot of self-install projects were done with good intentions. Both myself and the lieutenant over the course of our histories have done a lot of wiring projects. That drunk tank that I talked about that served so well back in the 70s and 80s, that has become a storage area. But unfortunately, it has also become an area where mold and mildew has learned to start to grow, and it's done a pretty substantial job back there. The building contains asbestos, as many buildings in the town do. Some of it has been remediated, i.e. it's been covered over, encapsulated. Some of it has been removed over the course of the years. But all of these things, these problems with the building, they've been addressed, they've been band-aided over the course of the years. The building exterior has cracks in it. The bricks have pulled away from the building at time, and they've been bolted back on and re-glued or re-masoned back on. The windows have been replaced over the course of the years because they've just worn out and water leaked through there. The building continues to have water leaks, both from the roof and through the side walls of the building that seeps into it. All these problems pretty much come to a point that the building itself has outlived its usefulness. Even if the town were to spend $1 million to repair and renovate a building to the walls, it still would not be of adequate size to house the police department, the size of the Bourne Police Department. Currently, there's 50 employees that work out of that building, and they just don't have adequate space for administrative functions. They don't have enough space for operational functions. They do not have enough space for prisoner security. They do not have adequate and appropriate space for locker room facilities for both male and female. The female locker room right now is an old lockup room for female prisoners, and has been repurposed over the course of the years. Bottom line is that your police department has outgrown the building. The building has reached a point where it's almost inhabitable based upon the needs, environmental needs of the building. And the community really has worked hard to explore all of that for the purpose of seeing whether or not it truly is a cause worth going forward with to seek the replacement of the building. And that's where we are now. We're trying to seek the approval of town meeting as well as the members and voters of the town to go forward with replacement of a new police facility. We're currently looking at a proposed $17.6 million new police facility to be built on town-owned land adjacent to the National Guard Armory off of Armory Road here in Buzzards Bay. Will be 2 floors above ground, 1 basement floor with facilities and uses in the basement. And we're going from roughly 10,500 square feet of usable space in the current police facility to a building of just under 26,000 square feet, 25,900 I believe the number is. So we're proposing to do that. There's the diagrams behind me here showing the layout and potential layout for the facility, proposed facility, as well as the floor plans for the facility there itself. So that's the opening part. So
Thank you very much. Members of the police department, would you like to add anything?
I'll talk on it. Great. Okay. I just think it's important that people understand that this project isn't something that just started. It really, we have documents from 1999 talking about it. I'm going on my 30th year, and that building was pretty bad then. It's actually probably improved in a lot of ways. So this is something that's been going on for a long time, and it kept getting pushed back for other projects. And the town financed a study to look at all town buildings. We were a 1-star, which put us up to #1 on the list, and that was probably 7 or 8 years ago. And we got pushed back again for the DPW complex because they had to make room out of the landfill to keep that functioning. So this is something that's really been going on a long time, and I'm fortunate. Our employees, they don't complain about it. They just come in and do their job. And so this is something that's really been going on for a long, long time. The need has been there for probably a good 20 years. And this, unfortunately, it's coming at a time where, finances are tough. But the good thing right now is interest rates are low. Now, the construction of the building, if we did this, 8, 9 years ago when it was really going to go forward, it probably would be $5 to $6 million cheaper than it is today. The one big thing with this project is if it doesn't pass this time, it's going to keep coming back. It has to. We're at a position that we have to start looking at trailers, and then where do we put the trailers? We don't have land on the, even for parking right now. So we wish we weren't here having to ask for this project. We wish things weren't like this in town, but they are. And the process for town meeting and the vote is we have a good tax rate, and we like it. We like a low tax rate. We're all residents. We like a low tax rate too. So what happens is the voters, they get presented a project, and it's up to them to say, yeah, we need to do this. And this is a real need. This isn't, we've been past its useful life for a long, long time. And we've been working on this for a long, long time. It gets pushed back. we go about our business, do our other things that were going on. But this project has to move forward. If it doesn't move forward now, it's gonna keep coming back, and I fear that the price is gonna go up and up and up. Now, one of the things that drives the price, when we look at the prices and we see 16 million, oh my God, you gotta be kidding me. And that stuff's all set by law, by prevailing wage laws, all these kind of things that we really don't have control over. But the prices are set as, this is the best estimated, the lowest price that we could get this at. If after construction, the final construction price could be less, which, you know, we're gonna work our tails off to get that less. So it could be less than that, but we have to put in the price that if we have to do this, this is what it's gonna be. So we've scaled down this project as much as we can. At one point, we scaled it down too much, and we have to build this for 50 years. And after 50 years, we already, you know, this project has a way where this roof can be removed and we could add on 50 years from now if we need to. But we've done everything with the building now. We've spent tens of thousands of dollars on this current building, tens of thousands of dollars, but to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars and millions of dollars to upgrade a building that we still can't use, we thought was a waste of taxpayer money, which is why you didn't hear from us. We didn't want to let the building go to where it is. I was just laughing this morning, I'm like, I think we've actually made improvements on the building, and it's still a dump. So, you know, we've done things, we've all done our own things, you know, we've made shelves, we've wired stuff, and it's all been done right to code and fantastic, but we just can't use this space anymore, and that's why we're trying to get the word out and let the voters decide, but this is an absolute need. It has to pass at some point, and we get the cost, the tax increase cost, we totally understand it, but that's the way the town is set up, to let the voters decide, hey, you guys own the company. The company is the town of Bourne. You guys decide what's gonna happen. So all we can do is give you a, hey, this is what we're at. For anyone that hasn't toured that police station, we've been running tours there every week or twice a week now for at least a month. We'll continue to do it. If you can't make a tour, we'll schedule a tour. I think the school is doing the same thing. Please come and see it for yourself. I mean, we also realize there's a negative atmosphere out there about, you know, taxes, government, town government, state government, federal government. We totally understand that. But you need to really look past it and say, this is my town. This is what we need in our town. So anyone that hasn't come in and seen it for yourselves, please do. And if you know anyone that's gonna be, no way am I voting for it, please just say, come on in and talk to us, off the record. Come look for yourself, ask us any questions you want. We are wide open to this, and let us know. I mean, this has to go. So thank you for your time, and thanks for coming today.
Lieutenant, if you want to say anything. Sir.
No, I think the chief basically summed it up very well. You know, covered all the high points between the chief and Charlie. And I thank you for taking the time and listening to us.
And we applaud you for working so hard to get all this information organized and making the effort to do the tours at our convenience, since I don't drive much after dark. That helps, you know.
Anytime you want, come
Yeah.
on down.
Yeah, good. All right, are there any questions, Nancy?
Yes, more of a comment. I've talked to a lot of my friends, and I don't know a single one that doesn't acknowledge the need for a better facility for the police, including myself. But by your own admission, it's 20 years that you've known you needed desperately to have this building either seriously upgraded or replaced. My argument is not with you, but with the town. I have provisions for what if I need a new roof? What if my furnace goes? All the what ifs. I try to provide for that. The town doesn't. It seems they spend every last penny and hope for the best. That's not good government. So I just have to make that clear right now. I very much object to the fact that, number one, our buildings are not adequately maintained. They build them and forget them. So when there's a little leak.
Answer that?
Let me go
Yeah.
first, and then MJ, I think, can answer, because I know exactly what you're saying, because I've heard that myself. And we can only do so much with the square footage that we have, like the upgraded electrical system, the heating, air conditioning. You know, if you had to replace your entire heating system in your house, what disruption that would be. We get it, we keep everything running. Our boiler went off last winter for probably 5 months. We didn't even know. It was warm from all the lights and the other stuff, that it was warm until we didn't have hot water. I'm like, why don't we have hot water? And then we found out what was going on. And we have planned for it, we've looked at it, like when we did the window project, which was probably $20-something thousand, we had to do it. But we haven't let that building go down. We've sealed the bricks, the masonry with a sealer. But one thing that the town does want to do is they truly, and I know people don't believe it, they truly acknowledge that the people don't want their taxes going up. We have, at one point, I think we have still 4 capital projects that are 20 years planned. There's some fire stations, there's the school, there's the police station, there's different projects. We try and stagger those things so that when, like this building here, when this comes off the tax increase, that the other one can come in so it doesn't affect you. Like when we talk about, hey, this could be, at worst case scenario, this could be $115 added to your taxes per year. In the end, it's probably gonna be less than that. Because if the construction is 17.6 and we build it at, let's say 17.1, that lowers it. If we get a bit of interest rate, that lowers it. What the town desires to do is not to come at you with all these projects at the same time. They try and spread them out. They rank the need, and they say, okay, let's do this one now, let's get some payments done on that one, and let's go to the next one. It's really smart budgeting. Unfortunately, the town of Bourne, like a lot of towns, they have a lot of old buildings that are antiquated, but they try and get every last second out of them that they can. They really do, and we've done it at the police department, and I know they all do it. There has not been a failure to maintain these buildings. I know there are people that want to say that. It's just not true. It just really isn't true. We look at it every single time. But to spend, $20,000, $30,000 to fix something, that's reasonable. When you're talking hundreds of thousands for a building our size, that's unreasonable. So we really do consider what the taxpayers want, because we're taxpayers too. We feel the same way, we really do. So just so you know, the town likes to stagger these projects so they don't hit the residents with these huge tax increases at once. We understand what's coming at you this year. We understand. We wish we weren't there. Me and the superintendent both wish we didn't have to do this, but we don't have any choice. We're there. We've been there for a while. It has to go forward. And the staggering of the project is what helps us as taxpayers, all of us. Because you don't want to get hit with $1,000 a year, but if you can stagger these things out, like say we had like a building project that was coming off the tax rolls that might have been $200 impacting your taxes, and then the police station, for example, comes in at $100, your taxes would actually go down $100. That's not happening, but that's how the system is set up. We're trying to stagger those to have less impact. MJ?
I was gonna say this at the end, but so we can maybe wait, but I have to say, I moved down here, built my house in '98. I moved full-time, my family had been here before, so I grew up here, but, I moved here full-time in 2000, then in 2003. I got on the finance committee in 2005. And I went to the town meeting in the spring where the budget was a mess. I mean, anybody who'd been to that town meeting, the finance committee couldn't agree with everybody, and then we had that 2005 override. That was my first project. And, I got on became the finance committee's appointment on the capital outlay committee, I think 2006 or 2007, the years are kind of a mess. So I became chair of the capital outlay committee in 2008. And I brought the capital outlay committee on a tour. I said, we're gonna tour all the buildings in town, okay? So we toured all the buildings in town. At the May town meeting in 2008, the capital outlay committee said the police department is so bad that we need $100,000 to look at getting this building fixed. We also hired the CISO group to do a report on all the town buildings because they were a mess. And the question of why were they a mess, I actually have given a lot of thought to this, and I think that what happened was, in the 90s, Proposition 2.5 came in, and all of a sudden you couldn't just raise taxes anymore. You had to get the voter approval to raise taxes. And so in Bourne, they asked for an override in the 90s, and it failed. And I don't know if you were around, but when that override failed, police were laid off, fire were laid off, the 30 or 40 teachers were laid off. I mean, the town was in really bad shape. And so you had, at that time, the chief of police, who was sitting and saying, okay, I gotta ask for money for this budget. We have no, am I gonna put policemen on the street, or am I gonna fix the building? And what do you think they decided? They put the policemen on the street. This happened all over the state of Massachusetts. The buildings, when Proposition 2.5 came in, there wasn't any money anymore to put money into the buildings. So we started a plan in 2008. It was a really good plan. Only the stock market and the economy did not agree with us. In the fall of 2008, the whole economy tanked, and we did not feel that we could come to the voters and say, well, you just lost half your retirement savings, but come on, give us a couple $1 million because we get these buildings to fix. So the Cecil report did this thing, and there were basically 3 buildings, well 4 because of the DPW, but there were 4 buildings, DPW, police, Peebles, and the Pecasset Fire Station, that were buildings that could not be saved. These are not buildings that we could put a couple $1 million in, and $1 million to keep it going, no. To fix the police station probably be $10 million. There were these buildings that we couldn't fix, but there were buildings that we could fix. The other thing that report said is this town needs a facilities manager. You can't have the chief of police being in charge of figuring out what to do with the building. It's his building.
Even though I'm really good at it.
I know that, you're good at it, and you're cheap too, so I know.
I thought we had another word for that.
So we said we need a facilities manager. So we went to the Board of Selectmen, we need a facilities manager, we need a facilities manager, we need a facilities manager. Finally, we got a facilities manager, okay? And now, then, what the facilities manager did is he started going through all the buildings and saying, all right, we've got 2 sets of buildings. We got the buildings we can save, and then we got the buildings that we can't save. So the buildings that we can save, we have a capital maintenance plan now for those buildings that says we're gonna spend $500,000 a year to keep those buildings going. The problem is, we can't keep those buildings and spend that money on those buildings if we don't fix these buildings. Police, Peebles, DPW. DPW was done. It was supposed to be paid by ISWIM, but the same crash that killed the economy, ISWIM went way under, and so they didn't have the money anymore to pay for the whole thing. They paid for a lot of it. Taxpayers paid $6 million, $6.7 million for that building, which cost, I think, $11 million. The rest of it was paid for by DPW work, ISWIM money, so we do so much. With the money that we have, it's unbelievable. So the plan, here's the plan. We do the police and the Peebles School now. It's a lot of money, but 42.36 million, it's $283 a year to the average taxpayer. It's 70 cents on the tax rate, and the community building is in fact coming off in 2023. There's gonna be 2021 was probably when we'll really start hitting the bondings on these. But if we don't do this, we're gonna keep putting roof, $150,000 on the roof for the police, $150,000 on the this. It's just, these are 2 essential projects. Pecasset Fire Station, I think we can pay for it with the capital plan. I have no plans for coming for debt exclusion for that. Some people have asked about the high school. What about the high school? Superintendent can tell you. We have been working on the high school. We did the library, we did the exterior, we did the security doors, all that stuff we've been working on. So there's only so much we can do, but you can't fix this problem. You can't fix the people's problem. It's not like we could throw millions and millions and millions into these buildings, but it wouldn't fix the problem. And this is the only way to do it. And if we do this, we're gonna be in really, really good shape, so. That's good.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions?
I was just curious when you said on the average taxpayer, what do you base it on? A certain assessment value or?
Yeah, here, do you wanna do this? And then,
Well, it's about
we still have to
300.
talk about
Three
people.
hundred, there's.
390 or 380,000 is the average house in Bourne.
Yeah.
That's what it's based on.
Oh, okay.
398, so if it's less, it's less, if it's more, it's more.
Well, this is new.
You try and give a good,
This is the one you said.
Yeah.
This is the new, yeah,
Try.
this is the new one.
Yeah, okay, gotcha.
Yeah, so it's 70, the police station's 30 cents.
Yeah,
The school's 40 cents, the total's 70 cents.
yeah,
Okay, so you do the math. I mean, we say $283, if you were in a $398,944 home, that is the average in
Yeah,
Bourne.
that's what I was wondering.
Yeah, and so it's, you can kind of do your own math. But this building actually is coming off. The middle school has been paid, this building's coming off. I've looked at that, kind of going out, how is it gonna happen? When you pass this building today.
It doesn't even hit you for a couple of
Oh,
years, too.
yeah,
Doesn't even hit you for a
2021.
couple of
It's
years,
gonna be like
then the other one's
2021.
gonna come off.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
So, so anyway, so 2008, it crashes. So I have been to the Board of Selectmen 4 times, I think I went asking them to come to start the police building facility committee. I go and I say, we gotta get this done, we've gotta get this done. We had $100,000 sitting there to get it done, and it didn't get done. And finally, I think we tag teamed, Dennis and I, and got it going. So last summer, and it's, it's tough. People are afraid they're afraid to ask in Bourne. They really are afraid to ask, but it's so important. It's just so important.
Okay, and I see there's a 15 million state reimbursement on the
Yes.
school. And that will probably go down if we wait much longer, right?
It has gone down. Thank you for the segue.
Yeah.
For the Peebles School, you could actually take everything that was actually presented, because I'm not going to repeat the same things, and take police station out and put the school into all those comments. It was a building that was built in the 50s. It was built because there was a population growth. It was built in 1953 originally, and they had to put an addition on 6 years later because the population was exploding. That addition was not put on well. That addition is sinking in the back, and it's sinking on top of all of the septic systems and all the systems underneath it. You could go in one room and you go in the door, and by the time you walk to the windows, you've walked down 4 inches. That's how much it's sinking on a regular basis.
We have chair races at our place. No, it really does, it's funny in a bad way.
But the totality of that building and the infrastructure of that building it's past its useful life system. But similarities, you can say, we're on at least our third comprehensive feasibility studies to what to do with that building. From the 90s to the middle of 2000s to now, a budget that was approved by town meeting in 2014 is $750,000 to determine what can be done with that building. We're probably going to come in around $600,000 spent on that, thousands of pages, and all of that is to be able to meet the demands of the Mass School Building Authority to get a $15 million grant by the Mass School Building Authority. They are in the business of building schools, so they have certain space requirements, because they are trying to give you as a community $15 million. They want to give it to you, they want to work with you and give it to you, but they do have expectations around that $15 million. Currently, the feasibility study is reimbursed at 42%. So whatever we spend out of $750,000, the town will receive 42% reimbursement on that, if the project moves forward. If the project does not move forward, they do have a requirement if you apply for a grant again with them, that you have to conduct another feasibility study, but 100% of the cost is on the town. There will be no reimbursement for that. We've looked at everything we possibly can around the Peebles Elementary School. We've invested, as Chief Woodside said, I think the building looks better now than when I started in 2010. We put a lot of money in that. We've worked on the facade and the fascia of the soffits, the wooden soffits on the school. But you're talking about a building that was not built for permanency. It was built for an expedient way to meet population growth. You have wooden structure in with concrete, with brick facades that are pulling away from the building. In the 90s, on the back side of the building, all of the facade underneath the windows, because of the water leakage, all fell down until the playground had to be replaced, and now there's a siding there that's bulging up now because the building is still settling and sinking and cracking all over the place. The asbestos is incredible within that particular school. It's all over that school. And our job is to again, maintain a margin of safety that we encapsulate it. Again, very similar to what you're hearing with the police station. The big difference for us is we have kids in that school. So, they're very precious. No parent wants to send their child to a school where you hear the word mold, or you hear the word asbestos, or, our job is to keep a lid on hysteria within that particular school. So we put a lot of effort in maintaining that building as the way it is. And Capital Outlay has been very generous over the years to try to help us keep that margin of safety. But it is getting to the point where the cost is far outweighing the usefulness of that particular building. The reason why we're here today and why it's simultaneous is because the state is willing to give us a $15 million grant. They know that this is a costly project. We're talking about a building that's over 70,000 square feet. for our students. So they know it's going to be costly. A total budget of $39.19 million. They're willing to give us over $15 million in a grant to offset the cost of that to the community.
When I was working, the rate for reimbursement was much higher. The reason I asked the question was, is there any expectation that the rate will decrease if we wait much longer?
It will. When the middle school was built, it was up in the 60 percentile around reimbursement. Bournedale, I don't remember Bournedale's reimbursement. 62%. 62% for Bournedale. We're at 48% now. And it's not just 48% reimbursement on the total budget now. They actually have, it has to be qualifying aspects of the construction project are reimbursed. So for example, only 8% of the site work is reimbursable. 8% of the cost of doing site work. They know that the site work is well over 8% of the entire budget, but they're trying to make it even across every community in the state of Massachusetts. That reimbursement rate has continued to come down. I was speaking with somebody from Rhode Island yesterday who was looking at a school building project as well. Their reimbursement rate is 35% in Rhode Island, for many communities in Rhode Island. I only see that reimbursement rate coming down over time, which it has, and the cost going
One
up.
other thing is, it took us 3 years. It took us 3 years to get approval. I mean, because over 100 schools every year apply to school building assistance for a project. They only take 10. So the original plan was, back in 2008, we were gonna build the police station, and while we were waiting to get the Peebles School project approved, you know, for 5 years, then, so we would have had our police station if we'd gone ahead then and be doing the Peebles now. It's the timing. But if we don't do the Peebles work now, you start all over again. You're back applying on the list, you're back trying to get a thing, you're back doing a feasibility study. The project in 2009, when we started looking at these projects on the CESA report, were 24 million for both projects. They're 42 million now. If we wait any longer, it's just getting worse and worse. And what's really, to me, it's this throwing good money after bad. You know, if we don't do it now, we're gonna throw money into people, we're gonna throw money into police, we're gonna throw, you know, and then it's gonna cost us more anyway, and then the rest of the buildings are gonna get bad. It's just, yeah, so.
Yeah. No, that's
Do you guys have any advice for, you know, ourselves for, you know, we're not trying to convince anybody of any, you know, secret plan, but is there anything that we can do as, for the school department or myself, is there any information that we can put out there that's more helpful? We've been trying to flood the market with as much information as possible. Is there anybody that has any ideas of, is there something that people need to know that we're not addressing?
I think you've done a wonderful job in terms of public relations and making yourselves available to the public.
Offering those tours,
Yeah.
I had an unfortunate tour in the police station twice, unless you misunderstand.
Did we fail you the first time?
come in the back door.
I was burglarized twice.
Oh.
And that was not a good experience, but my experience with the Bourne Police has, they've earned my respect and admiration forever. And I don't like to think of them putting up with these terrible circumstances. It was a mess 5 or 6 years ago when I was in there, and I don't imagine it's improved.
I gotta tell you, when we went in I can remember March of 2008, when we went to the police station, I was like, we gotta get going on this, and it's been a long haul. I mean, it's been 8 years of trying to move forward, and we're making a lot of progress, though. I mean,
The sad thing is we're getting used to the conditions. Like, I was looking at the pictures at one of the presentations, and I'm like, wow. If that was my house, I would have ripped that apart. And I swear, when you go in there and you look at it, and Marge, you volunteer in there, and you see it, and you're like, and even the mold, like, we've painted that, and it comes back. And we cleaned it, we painted it, it comes back, and it comes back pretty quick. So it's you have to laugh in a way. It's like it's just,
with vinegar.
we can clean it down to nothing. Paint it with the paint that doesn't have mold grow on it. That mold comes back.
Part of the problem is the fact that building was basically built on a swamp. when they go. The water table's about a foot below the basement.
And the toilet in that building is the best toilet in the whole building.
I can tell when the tides change in the canal, when I have water in that basement, because they literally rise with the canal.
Peter had a question.
Not a question, it's a statement, but I keep on hearing the common theme is I've been on a tour to the police station, but I've not heard I've been on a tour to Peebles School. You need to get over there as well and walk around and see those conditions, because those, I mean, as Charlie and the superintendent said, you know, you're interchangeable one for the other, but I can't do it justice without saying you should go and walk to Peebles School and have a tour.
Sir?
Oh, I just wanted to know, if and when the new police station is built, what are you gonna do with the old one?
All right, so we're not addressing that at this time at all.
Would you make it a prison?
No, with the building is, it probably doesn't have any use for any other town facility, but that'll fall, should these projects go forward, that'll fall to the Board of Selectmen, you know, 2, 3, maybe 4 years from now to say, okay, what are we gonna do with it? Are we gonna knock it down? Are we gonna use that site for something else? Are we gonna sell it? They have a lot of options, but it's really not a factor for what we're doing, because it just doesn't factor into any of the decisions. Like the school, yeah, they're gonna knock it down because they need the room, it's part of their plan. It's not part of our plan, it's a flood zone, we can't operate there anyways. And I'll tell you, we looked at 16 sites, we looked at the current site, we looked at buying all the neighborhood property, see what we could do. We're still in a flood zone, and it's like, oh, we can build it on stilts. I'm like, great, how do you get there? You know, so, I mean, the police station is the one building, that is 24 hours a day, man. You can go in there 24 hours a day. That is central communications for all emergency calls for the entire town of Bourne. So, we've looked at all of that, but we're not gonna factor in what's gonna happen with that. It kind of just skews the whole problem. It's not an issue right now. Could that be knocked down and built into an annex of something? Could it be a playground? Could it be, it could be many things, but we're just not gonna go there just yet. That'll fall to the board later on.
We actually did, one of the things the capital outlay committee did was look at the buildings that we didn't see we'd have a use for after. So we had a study done on highest and best use for Monument Beach Fire Station, the police station, the school administration building, if we could move that. And so the police station, it probably would fall into the same thing that we did with Cody and Hoxie schools when we weren't gonna use them. So we put in out RFQ, we see, you know, if anyone will take them as is. If they don't, then maybe we think about demolishing it and selling it as a piece of property. But it's a process, and it's gonna be down the road when we, you know, after it's done. Hopefully we can sell it, because we sold Cody and made like 400, we sold Cody and got 400,000 for it. No one wanted Hoxie, so we
Peter, I volunteered for a couple of years at the Peebles School, and it reminded me of the school I first taught in Dover, which was built in 1957. And I felt like I had come home again when I went to volunteer, but I was appalled. I was really appalled and embarrassed. And then, when I'm thinking about the mold and the asbestos, I'm surprised you're still in business. I mean, that should be closed down. If I were leading a parent group, I'd be in your office today, so.
Well, one thing you have to know that we've been lucky, God has been watching over the Peebles children, because when the wall fell in the back, it was about 20 minutes after the kids had come in from recess, and so there were no kids out on the playground. And when the ceiling fell a couple of years ago in the cafeteria, the entire ceiling fell down, it was 2 days after the end of school. So we have been very, very lucky.
That doesn't always hold out for very long.
No, and it's a good point, because what we're asking our teachers to do is not just teach, they have to monitor the facility that they're in as well. They have to monitor any release of asbestos, any change in condition in their room, any water. We did a tour yesterday. And again, you're welcome to come to the school and call us for a tour at any point in time. We do have a tour set up for October 15th from 1 to 3 o'clock. It's a Saturday for more people to come and visit. When we were doing a tour yesterday, because of the rain was coming through one of the classroom windows, and the teacher was sitting there moving all of her books to try to wipe it all up. Again, we're asking them to do, similar to the police department, we have very proud adults in this community that work here. They want to come in and do the best job every day. I think that this awareness of what's going on has really shocked them a little bit more, because they came in and they were getting used to just doing the best they could with what they had. But we put a lot of focus on the condition of that building, how poor it is, and it's really rattling some of the staff members, because they're doing more than just teaching.
Well, the end of my anecdote is that beautiful school in Dover that I taught in for 12 years was bulldozed recently. Broke my heart. You know, they knocked my first grade classroom to the ground, and they constructed another brand new building that could deal with the technology demands and all of that. And as much as I miss the Chickering School, I have to tell you, they made a very wise decision. And they didn't have mold and asbestos issues that they had to deal with, so. Any other questions?
I have had a few people ask me if this presentation has been amazing. It's wonderful, all the information. But people have asked me, is there going to be presentation in the different parts of Bourne like they have done in the past with override?
We'll go anywhere, anytime, for
I
anyone.
just was wondering
Yeah,
if
that's,
there's...
that's actually a good idea, because we did, you know, could do one in the Sagamore Fire Station, do one at the Pocasset Center, do one, and we did that one at Taylor School.
We just need people to come. And
Yeah.
it's just, a lot of people already got their minds made up, or they're waiting for town meeting. And even if we get through town meeting, then we got the ballot. So we've been willing to meet with anybody at any time, but we just haven't gotten the requests. I mean, most of our feedback has been, people are for it or against it, we get it. But we're doing the tours, and I know the school's doing it, we're doing the tours every week or twice a week. But we had one the other day, it might have been a bad time, no one came. Every other tour has had people. So we try and vary the dates and times. It's not just one day, it's at night, or it's during the week, it's on the weekend. So, but we're just putting it out.
tell them the tours are really a good way.
The tours is the best way to at least, and see it for yourself. I mean, you don't have to listen to us, we're not gonna embellish anything, just come look at it, and then we'll answer any question honestly and truthfully with the information that we have today. We give it all out. We'll be making presentations at town meeting, we'll probably have a display at town meeting if the moderator allows it. So that's been our plan, we're wide open, so we were happy to come here today, and anybody that wants to meet us, I think the superintendent feels the same way. I mean, we wanna tell people.
We've already met with the Pocasset Village Association, and we've been trying, and we've been trying to meet with the others. Coordinating the meetings has been a little bit difficult, but we'll go anywhere.
I couldn't get over how quickly you guys all said, sure, when and what time and where.
Well, you know what, we have a lot of stuff going on, and we're still running the police operation and the superintendent officer, but this is so important to the future of this town of Bourne that we have no choice but to do this. This has to supersede all the other things we're doing, and we realize it. And, you know, we're committed, as much as the school is committed to putting the information out there and hoping that our owners of the company approve it. I mean, that's all we can really do.
Just so you know, next Thursday, October 6th, we'll be back here at 2 o'clock for the school presentation, sponsored by the Council on Aging. So we're gonna be out in the hallway here in the Venerators lobby. We set this up with Felice a couple of months ago, so.
I think the police are coming the week after.
Yeah. So we're gonna be here, one place where both committees will be at.
But we're available, we're accessible.
What was that date?
October 6th for the school, and
Okay.
it's the 13th for the police.
October 11th.
11th,
At 2
so that's
p.m.
Tuesday.
in room number 1.
Nancy?
2 p.m. for October 6th for the schools.
Nancy?
I have a question with regard to the school now. How was this, there's an architectural rendering here in the paper, and what were the criteria for picking this architecture? Was this the least expensive, or,
Yeah, the
this
easy
looks
answer is
like
yes. The easy answer is yes. We're looking for the least expensive, but we're also looking for LEED certification, that we want everything to be energy efficient, that we want it to be faced in the right direction of the sun, that it's going to, that the materials are going to last over 50 years. But there also has to be, some element of, pleasability to the eye coming in for the community, for the students, and looking at Cape architecture and all that. But it's going to be the cheapest that we can actually afford.
It's a lot of money, awful lot of money.
It is a lot of money. And the example I give, and I've been quoted as giving, is Somerville Public Schools, which you think is an urban setting, has a gazillion students. They have 5,000 total students, we have 2,000 total students. They're doing a renovation addition of their high school at a price tag of $255 million. That's, the cost of these are, you know, we're fighting to keep that, you know, we've already come down and we're gonna keep coming down. We're going to continue to look at things in ways to save money in there, just like the police department's going to as well. We set the top end of that budget and we're gonna keep scrutinizing every expenditure in there and bring it down. We're gonna look at the materials and make sure that they are the most cost-effective materials for construction.
The likelihood of it being accepted by the public is to make sure that people understand that every effort has been made to make it as inexpensive as practicality dictates, you know. You look at this rendering and you see roof lines going every which way. I always think leak, you know.
However, if
Get
the
them in a
occupancy,
flat.
Like this building, for example.
That's like in the police station, we told our guy, no flat roofs.
Yeah, you don't want flat roofs.
But you know, really on the flat roof thing, like one of the buildings where the future expansion 50 years down the road is, there is actually it's a flat roof, but there's trusses on there. That if we ever had to expand 50 years down the road, those trusses can be removed and you can build right on that part. But they like flat roofs because they're cheap, and we're like, absolutely not. Like, we know about the dangers of the flooding. And the other thing with the police is, the other thing, we're doing a coordination with the wastewater treatment plant, which will help Main Street grow, and our plan is designed also around the wastewater treatment where their well's gonna be. We've been working in conjunction with them from day one on how can we sit two projects on the same site and hopefully realize cost savings when it comes to excavation of material and things like that. So our project is like, when you talk energy efficient, one of the things was we wanted the solar arrays like in the parking lot. We can't do those in the parking lot because that's where the field's gonna be, so you can't have the concrete in the ground. But we have all these other options going down the road. So we're doing two projects at once, but neither project is dependent upon the other one. But if they both wind up going at the same time, we're seeing dollar signs being saved, so that's what we're hoping to do as well.
It's something else that we've been doing, and we've been doing it for 6 or 8 months now, is we've been going around looking at other police stations that have been built. And we're learning from other people's mistakes of things not to do. We went up to the town of Watertown, which built a new police station about 6 years ago. And one of the problems they have is they went with what's called geothermal heating. And they have had nothing but problems with that.
Dennis PD had the same problem with the geothermal as well.
That went away. We don't even want to consider things like that, you know, but it helps going to these police stations and saying, what works for you, what didn't. And one of the key aspects that everyone has said is storage. There's never enough storage in the building, which is one of the things that we've incorporated.
Never enough closets, huh?
What they try and do, they have a project and then people start wanting to cut money from the project because everyone wants to save money. And so the first things that go are the storage spaces because that's unused space, you don't need that. And so now this project that was supposed to be a 50-year building is now a 5-6-year building and they're out of space. We walked through them where, I forget which one it was, but they have temporary fencing up in their garage to make an additional room on a brand new building.
Yeah.
And we can't be in that space.
Never enough closets.
Never enough
That's what you compare it to. You remind people,
You don't
when you
think
buy a
about it,
house, there's never enough closets.
The bathrooms and other things, the public bathrooms, it's usually the first thing to get pared down, and then what you get, you have training classes that you have 20, 30 people that are all going on break at the same time, and now the class is delayed, going back because there's a line leading out of the bathroom. Those are
The
things
living room is
that,
never big enough.
I want to know something about the town of Carver. They have a beautiful new town hall, they have a beautiful, absolutely gorgeous library, and now they're constructing, I don't know anything about their schools, but now they're constructing this police and fire station, and I never thought I'd like to live in Carver, but they've got all these beautiful projects that are mostly...
But you know, every town is unique, and this town is very unique, because we have a canal. Nobody has that, and we have to, the fire and the police, even the school district, transporting the children. I mean, you don't have that barrier in any other town. Carver's nice, but it's also a lot smaller.
But it made me think, did you think about combining a police-fire station? Yes.
We did. It was one of the first things we explored.
Well, I look at the Bocasset and the Monument Beach, and the one downtown isn't in such hot shape either, so.
Oh, no, that's a more reach, please.
But we can only take so many projects at once, and like I said before, we have to space these things out, so we're trying, we did look at it.
I mean, one of problems when you start trying to combine the projects is then the amount of land that you need for a combined facility is different, and then you're looking at buying land, and if we buy land, it's just gonna add to the project cost, so then it didn't really make any sense. What we did with the headquarters building for the fire is we moved the administrative headquarters over to Sagamore, because Sagamore, there's no handicapped accessibility in the downtown fire station. Sagamore Station had an elevator, it's the one that was built by the state of Massachusetts, so we spent, I forget how much money was in the plan this year, but to do that renovation, to move that, so that now our headquarters is out of the flood zone, which is good, because and that building, although it's not great, we put money into the sleeping quarters, we put the new phone system in, we did some heating and ventilation upgrades. So it wasn't gonna be cost effective to combine them, because it changed kind of the way that it was gonna work.
The land availability was really the biggest hurdle in all the sites that we looked at, and then, just like the school, we're both using town-owned land now to keep and a lot of this is driven to keep the cost down.
Right.
Yeah, because we need the voters to understand that we've done everything, and I'm telling you, we've done everything we can do to keep these costs as low as we can get it. I mean, I wish we could get them lower.
These buildings, if you look at it, the police station's about 25,000 square feet, and the Peebles School is about 75,000 square feet. So the Peebles School is like 3 times more expensive than the police station, but we get the reimbursement. The cost is the cost.
And within the cost of the Peebles School is the demolition and the removal of the old Peebles School. That's all built into that, there's no additional cost for that.
What are you gonna do with the kids?
Because we're building on the same site, the students can remain in the Peebles as it is until the other building is open. And then once the other building will open, then we're going to demo the Peebles School. It's cost savings, that's a great point, because it's cost savings. We don't have to relocate them, we don't have to stagger things, we don't have to, and it helps the construction schedule.
Yeah, talking about the money and saving, I hope this time that whoever builds these buildings, you're not gonna just go with the lowest bid, but the lowest qualified bid, because I'll tell you, I've lived in houses that are more than twice as old as both of these buildings, and they didn't have anywhere near the structural problems, and they weren't built on really great sites either, but please, get somebody who knows what they're doing for the money.
I think a great thing.
Don't chisel the price down,
Right.
and then end up with a building like you've got now. You should have a building that would last at least 100 years.
Yeah,
I'm serious.
I am too, because
You
I think a great example of that is Bourne High School. That building was constructed in the 60s, and there are many buildings that were built in the 60s that have to come offline and have to be replaced. That building does not. That building was well constructed, with great materials. It's a very solid building from front end to back end. There was an addition put on in the late 80s, early 90s. That building will be here for another 50 years. So that was really well constructed as a building.
Yeah.
That's a great example.
June?
Have any of the Bourne local builders been asked for an input on any of this, any ideas? I would think we got some pretty good builders.
Not at this time, but they have to qualify under the state guidelines. There's prevailing wage laws. There's a lot of regulations that we have to follow between the school and the police.
Well, I understand that, but I'm thinking, I have some input, some ideas.
They participated in some of our meetings and stuff like that, but we're really getting into the actual design details of the project. Again, we have to go through a Mass School Building Authority, and so we have a stage every time we get through it, and we need their approval to keep moving forward. Right now, we're getting to the schematic designs of the actual, and we'll be processing that information, but that really is contingent on the success of it at special town meeting and at the ballot.
Just to answer your question, the DPW committee, the police study committee, and the school building committee, at least on those 3 committees, there's 1 or 2 members of that committee that are construction trade experts who live in the town. One's an electrician and one's an excavator. Well, a road and
Well, I
heavy
would just say,
equipment operator.
it's their town too.
Nancy?
I wonder too if declining enrollment has factored into your decision here. I notice now we are providing a building that is about for 100 more students than currently attend Peebles. And yet we are told that enrollment has really declined, and they foresee it to continue to decline. So that's something that I think could be a problem in getting acceptance for this building as it exists.
I don't disagree, because as an overarching presentation, that is troubling in many ways, but it's really, the enrollment is declined, but we as a district have resized ourselves several times as well. When Bourne was built, just as an example, we took 2 schools offline, 2 buildings offline, just for that building, and we also had temporary trailers up in the backside of Peebles, up until that building was built. So we're resizing ourselves as a district. Our enrollment has decreased since 2005, but we had more buildings in 2005. And we're not asking for more than the 4 buildings we have right now. A lot of enrollment issues are coming around at our high school level, because there's more choices now than have ever been out there for high school choices. But a point that I want to make with enrollment, and it's going to be, part of our position that we have to share, because enrollment will clearly be a question, is we haven't been sitting on our hands with Bourne High School with any space that's been available over there. We've invested quite a bit into that building to innovate or to create uses of those spaces. So we have more lab environments in that particular school. We have a state-of-the-art robotics center in that school. We have a new wet lab in that school. We just opened up a new 18 to 22 program for students with disabilities in that school. We use a black box as a theater classroom within that school at this point in time. We have a keyboard lab in that school. We utilize the space as much as we continue to do. And I continue to say that central office, at some point in time, you heard MJ say it, should be overlooked in that building and use that space. And 36 Sandwich Road should be rededicated to something else. I know, just because speaking to a couple of people in Bourne Village, that somebody wants to buy that place. So that could certainly go on the market and make the town some money in some way to get us over there and offset the cost of moving us over there, which I don't think would be even a third of what you could sell it for. Enrollment is a question, there's no doubt about that. Going down, we're doing studies about that, what the down is, and we're looking at maybe 20 students per year that we would go down over the next 10 to 20 years. But that's still a relative unknown. A factor that nobody ever brings into the conversation is what happens with Joint Base Cape Cod. Because we have an influx of students, anywhere from 90 students per year to 130 students per year. So, that is a factor in there as well. But the biggest point that I want to make is we wouldn't be at the table today if MSBA didn't do their homework. The organization that's trying to give us $15 million, they don't want to build a school that's going to be empty. So they're building a school, they looked at our entire district, they did a study of our district, and they said, this is where your enrollment is. We projected out 10 years, they go 10 years. We've been trying to look at it from a 20-year perspective. They go 10 and they say, this building is going to be an appropriate building for your town. We're willing to give you $15 million because we believe in our numbers. They have actual individuals who calculate all of that out on our enrollment.
There's another thing, there's another thing, is that right now, grades 5 through 8 are in the middle school, and it was originally designed for grades 6 through 8. So grade 5, which has 131 students in it around, is going to move into the Peebles school. So we're not going from 370 to 460, we're not trying to add space. They're restructuring the whole district. And I went to a thing last week about, it was a Google presentation about moving your business to the cloud. And they said that the millennials, which are the 20 to 30 age group, have just surpassed the baby boomers and the Gen X group as the workforce. So we have these young people. So what happens when we have young people aged 20 to 30? What are they going to do in the next couple of years? They're going to get married and they're going to have kids. And what's really interesting is if the grade K through 2 group is like 537 kids, but the grade 3 through 5 group is like 403 kids. So it's declining enrollments is, it's not, there's so many factors. We have fewer classrooms, we have,
Another factor to consider is whether or not the proposition with regard to charter schools gets approved. And that could really impact
If that gets approved, it won't affect us here on the Cape. Sturgis has asked for additional spaces, but that charter school bill is really specific to urban centers, and lifting the cap on urban centers. It's not a Cape Cod bill.
Is it limited to, because we were talking about this last night, I didn't.
Yeah, it's really designed to help out urban settings and lifting up the cap.
I think the question isn't limited, but Yeah, totally that, you know, we actually live over the bridge in Wareham, and we have neighbors who send their kids to Bourne schools. And
Yes.
I suspect there may be more coming, because Wareham is not exactly on the ball for a lot of issues.
And
I wish
some of
we-
these
I wish we could
programs
live
you're
on this side.
describing are really exciting programs. I think if the public knew more about them, they'd think twice about sending their kids to charter school. And we have graduates from your school in my family, and they are in honors programs in the colleges that they are, so somebody did a good job.
The other thing too is we're adding full-day kindergarten. This project avails full-day kindergarten. When Bourne was built, we still did not have enough space in the district to offer free full-day kindergarten. And we were still the last community on the Cape to ever offer full-day kindergarten. And we're offering it now tuition-based because of limited space. We have to have some type of process for individuals to get into the full-day, in a lottery system for the full-day kindergarten. But we're looking to offer free full-day kindergarten with the success of this project.
Yes,
Speaking to the questions you raised, which were really good, when you think about the future, a lot of families will make their decisions on where they're going based on the schools
that's right.
and the community buildings. And if our buildings are that bad, I mean, I've seen my neighborhood, you know, it's like, where are the kids? That's gonna continue and get worse if we don't address this. If we do, it could be that, you know, we could turn around quite a bit, so. Thank you.
Are there any other questions? Then I thank you all. I know that this is probably just part of your day, but we appreciate it, and I think you've answered some good questions.
Thank you very much.
Oh, you're welcome anytime, and you'll hear from me frequently. So that-
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Rick.